department to provide a service to our community. We ask these things, Lord, in Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Okay, it's 7:30 PM on June 3rd, 2025. And this is, and the Smith Station Fire District is holding a regular meeting. This meeting's being held at Smith Station Fire District Station 1, located at 50 Lee Road 430, Smith Station, Alabama. I'm Board Chairman Walter Cox, and recording our minutes this evening is Leslie Knox, our Department Administrator. Ms. Knox will now take roll to establish a quorum of board members.
Chairman Cox,
Present.
Chairman Leach is absent, Chairman Wright is absent, Director Flowers,
Present.
Director Harris.
Present.
We do have a quorum present this time, so I now call the meeting to order. Okay, on the consent agenda, y'all should have received that information by email a couple of days ago. I have a motion. Any discussion on anything you saw?
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
Have a second?
Chairman Cox,
Yes.
Director Flowers,
Yes.
and Director
Yes.
Right, the motion passes unanimously, and next thing is the financial report.
So y'all have a copy of the budget versus actual for May, versus total this month budget year. Just want to point out a couple of things. Overall, we're sitting pretty good, at this point in the budget year, compared to what the original budget included. Feel a lot more comfortable. But on page 9 of your packet, line 60456, we're at 192% there. That has to do with background checks, physical, pre-employment physicals and things like that. So being over, say, a substantial amount is a good problem in that line. So that means we're bringing people in, we hired full-time folks back December. So the next line down, 60457, is our billing services. So we were over pretty substantially in May. That has to do with, we made a double payment, so we got invoiced twice pretty closely together there. So that's why that monthly amount. So the next two things I want to point out is on page 10, line 60716. So 121 decided to quit working on us shortly after we finished on a structure fire. So we had to have it towed. So that's why the repair line is what it is for last month. The next line is 60724, engine 126 repairs. That's the truck that's been out of service for over 2 years. Fortunately, it's back. It's sitting out back, waiting to finish getting some equipment put back on it and everything, and then we'll get it back where it's going. But those repairs cover about $10,000. It's not reflected in May. So the way we do our bills when we enter them in QuickBooks, as soon as that bill is generated, maybe March, this bill was generated back in March when we took it to W.W. Williams. So that $10,000 is reflected in March. So but it is showing in the total line. That does not happen very often. So they did want to point that out, that we did have that large expense this month getting that truck back in service. So other than that, like I said, I'm rocking it all. Be comfortable where we sit.
And last day, we did the financial report with out to 5 months.
Balances at the end of May, so our operating account sitting at $164,276.59. Our old operating account sitting at $44,312.96. Wells Fargo account is at $16,261.32. Firefighters fund is at $20,841.88. The 3-month CD is $182,184.83. one of these 6-month CD, the older one is at $184,051. The new 6-month CD that just opened is at $95,318.31. And the money market account is at $246,844.63. The total account balance for $1,654,090.
There's the financial statement and budget numbers. Need a motion to accept.
Motion we accept the financial report.
Howard Haugh,
Yes.
Brett Howard,
Yes.
Doug Harris.
Yeah, you said to the chief people.
So I'm not gonna read the whole 6 pages that I typed up for you. Y'all have the activity breakdown. One thing I do want to point out, with our activity last month, we did, 2 certification classes. So we did a CPR refresher class, and then an apparatus operator pumper class. But we also hosted or conducted live fire training in an acquired structure, 2 weeks ago. In my understanding, that's the first time that's been done here in quite some time. So we went through that whole process, and used it for live fire training for our people, but then also used it in conjunction with that pumper class. So they were able to get skills training on a live structure fire and everything. So that went good. You have kind of my plan, for what's as best as I can communicate from my head to on paper. The plan for deeming 4 vehicles, as surplus, and then the plan to replace them. That plan is, the timeline on that is looking at next budget year. So we're currently in a cycle of replacing those vehicles about every 3 to 5 years. The F-150s for 2022, so we're coming up on that 3-year mark. So just trying to kind of stay in that life cycle replacement. So, the next item is the certificate of deposit renewal. So looking to renew the, I think it's 6-month, the 3-month that expires this month. And we have 6-month that matures in September. It cost us $7 to withdraw that 6-month CD and open a new one. So I have a resolution drafted, authorizing me to withdraw that money and deposit it into another CD, 6-month CD. But also in that resolution, asking for the board to authorize me to continue renewing these CDs in the future, so that I don't have to, every time one renews, I have to come back. Can't change the term, and I can't move it from one financial institution to another, without board approval, but that way I kind of cut down y'all's work. So the other 2 of the grants, that we explained, so that's.
Okay, the thing we still have left over from last month on old business is a surplus property designation. Want to go ahead and discuss that and, as far as what to do with these vehicles back. Right here. Yeah. And,
Kelly Blue Book values are included in your packet. In talking to the accountants, I've included their recommendation for as far as actually surplusing the vehicles. Which is, according to them, determining a fair market or fair value based on something like Kelly Blue Book. And then, if y'all deem these vehicles in surplus, however you want to get rid of them.
Let me ask you, do you have to advertise that you're surplusing them and
Not to,
publicly?
not the actual deeming them as surplus. My understanding is if we wanted to put them out for people to bid on, then you would need to announce that in one way or another. But what else, that could be as simple as posting on the website, on social media. I did not get the impression that we would have to follow the same rules as like our meeting postings and things like that. The one thing that they did say, and I do want to make sure I mention this just because of history, is anybody in the department is authorized to bid on the vehicles so long as they are not involved in determining fair price for the vehicles or that selling process. So
You verified that legally.
that was verified with the accountants. The attorney that would tell us whether we can or can't is sitting right there, so, but only looking,
I would feel safe knowing that we're complying,
yeah.
because I think there's been some discrepancy in the past over that.
Well, and I specifically asked that question to the accountants. I'm not an attorney, but I haven't been able to find anything saying could, but that guy's gonna know a lot.
Very nice for his blessing.
If we do what the attorney and the accountant say, then we should be good for the most part. So, but there are some, if y'all do approve the surplus, the current, to me, best plan would be to put the guys here in a 3/4 ton pickup truck. You know, I don't know if y'all seen the trailer parking lot we got going on out back. You know, we're starting to accumulate some more things here. While that's not our property, EMA, we do have the agreement with EMA that we can be used to move some of their stuff if needed. So that 3/4 ton truck will give us the ability to. As far as replacing a manned vehicle, that could go Tahoe Expedition pickup truck. The only thing I would say would be if it an SUV, I would recommend something with heavy duty brakes, which is a different suspension. If it's a truck route, I would recommend a 3/4 ton truck.
What do we have now as a command vehicle?
Uniform 50. That is overloaded.
Cab over that.
That has a camper shell. So that would be the difference too, is the pickup trucks would have camper shells, purpose-built slide out trays, things a little bit more conducive to emergency responses than what we have now.
What is your preference to have for a command vehicle?
Honestly, going back and forth, it being in mine, as long as I've been in it, I would be comfortable dropping a lot of the stuff, so going in a Tahoe or an Expedition. So I think accessory wise, we would have better options with a Tahoe versus an Expedition. But the Tahoe would require the Tahoes are not state bid lists, not the PPV or SSV versions. So, but the F-250 is on state bid, Chevrolet 2500 is on state bid, you know, so we could.
Expedition on state bid?
It is. And the SSV version of the Expedition is on state bid. So, and now those options are listed in option 2, outline kind of the Tahoe, or Expedition, and I'll be honest, the pricing there, the 75 to 90,000 comes from talking to Tallahassee Fire Chief. They just purchased a new Tahoe beginning of this year or into last year. And that was about what they paid for that. So, same, looking for from y'all is if we want to surplus the 4 vehicles, if y'all do, then I would probably start moving on some of that. It's not something I can turn around and sell all 4. But also what we have seen is the replacement. We've been told the accessories are anywhere from 16 to 24 weeks out. So, you know, you're looking 4 to 6 months to get some.
So your rule of thumb is every 3 years replacing?
It's just matching what we've done historically.
What is the norm for other departments?
Most folks, once it hits around 100,000 miles, they're getting. So, and 3 of the 4 are over 100.
Over 130.
Well, one's at 90.
So most of our departments are at 100. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I know down there at Pike Road, there's, once it hits 100,000 miles, they get rid of it. So,
And when we sell them, we won't go below Kelly Blue Book market value. It's not like
y'all deem as fair price. What I came up with using the bottom end fair price on all of them, and I just rounded. So if it was $6,400, I just said $6,000. Was if we get that bottom end fair price, it's around 40,000. 40 or 45.
What was your reason for wanting to go ahead and do the F-150?
No, that, the plan would be to keep that.
To keep it.
Yes, sir. I just included,
Basically, so you're looking at 113, 112, 111, 112, 113, 115.
keeping the F-150. I just included it in that list, so y'all had a complete list of what we currently have as small vehicle.
I'll make the motion to approve the surplus. Designation was, the 4 he's recommending, 113, 112, 115, 111.
I have a second.
Chairman Hall,
Yes.
Greg Flowers,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Go ahead and set the bottoms on.
We
Go ahead and set the bottoms on the Blue Book.
having my recommendation there, I would say let's start with that bottom end Kelly Blue Book is, you know, if we get more than that, we get more than it. But then if we see where something's not selling, you can come back and adjust it later.
And then our attorney's going to confirm whether or not.
Internal could purchase. Now, my understanding would be the 4 of us would definitely be out. Like, I'm not gonna buy it. Perception. So, but the bottom include Kelly. My recommendation. So do you want to amend that motion to,
To include selling. Sure. We'll amend our motion to approve the surplus designation, as well as making the resale of the property not drop below the Kelly Blue Book low value. If for some reason we do have to drop below that, go back to the board approval, sir.
I'm second.
Yes.
Greg Flowers.
Yes.
And Greg.
Yes.
Next thing is getting into new business now. The certificate of deposit renewal that we discussed and basically, to allow him to withdraw for $7 to restart the,
I'll make the motion.
and then the other thing that's in there.
you want me to read the resolution?
Yeah, you can go.
Smith Station Fire Protection District Board of Directors authorized the fire chief to withdraw this notice SCMCD ending in 759 with a balance of $184,051. And that's the balance of a 6-month CD with some notice claim. Be it further resolved, Smith Station Fire Protection District authorizes the fire chief to renew this notice SCMCD ending in 918 with a balance of $182,184.83 into a 3-month CD Synovus fund. Be it further resolved, fire chief is authorized to renew Synovus SCM CDs without additional authorization from the board of directors. Must seek board approval to make any adjustments to the CD's investment term or move the CD to.
That was what we're basically adding a motion.
Make a motion.
Fire Chief Armstrong,
Yes.
Director Flowers,
Yes.
Director Harris.
Yes.
The next thing was up on the new business is the executive session.
Letter from our county, Kate, there, and the Central Benson. Recommending the board and executive session. Discuss pending the. That literally just entered into the minutes. And. So you're gonna have a roll call. And. The executive session and an estimated time frame, I don't think I. Yeah. Potential.
Back, the very back.
Not see, I saw it earlier. Yeah.
It's at the back.
But not the resolutions.
There it is.
A motion.
Motion to go into executive.
Second that motion.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Director Flowers,
Yes.
and Director Harris.
Yes.
I motion. I'll second it.
We're trying to.
Y'all still here?
I can't until y'all come.
All right, we're going to, I'd like to call the order, us reconvening this meeting. It is 8:26 PM on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. I call the meeting back to order.
So. Now go into executive session or amend the agenda, so that. We can take some action. So. Recommend we amend the agenda to address, or authorize the fire chief to take the steps to close out. Pending settlement and need for actions to recover and pay fire fees in the future. So. Take potential action to Lucas devices and potential action station 6 is needed repairs.
Make the motion.
Second.
Aaron Fox,
Yes.
Kevin Fowler,
Yes.
and Greg Brown.
Yes.
Woman,
So the function would be the and the operations. The fire chief. It's still to close out settlement or actions to recover paid fire fees in the future.
I make that motion.
Second.
Aaron Fox,
Yes.
Kevin Fowler,
Yes.
Jordan, Lynn.
Yes.
Next, I guess would be the sale. The next would be the Lucas devices, they have received some, quotes from Stryker. For the purchase of 2 Lucas devices, that quote was about $37,000. That includes, that includes a $6,000 credit to the auto pulses, so selling those 2 Stryker. What they're running right now is 0% interest. So if the purchase was approved, then we could pay $18,000 now, pay $18,000 in a year. Or we could pay the total $37,000 balance a year from the date we receive the equipment. In looking at the budget, we paid off 3 trucks this year, so we have roughly 130. Exactly. $30,000 in expenses that we're not going to have next year. With the purchase of 2 of the vehicles, we have the CDs that could help cover that, plus the sale of the surplus vehicles that would help cover that. So, we're looking $1,000 between the CD and the sale of the vehicles. So that still leaves that 130,000. The only significant expense that I foresee looking at next year will be the purchase of air packs. Plan right now is to finance those. So I don't see that being a huge chunk of money next year. With that, personally, I think budget wise, we would be okay to make that $37,000 purchase a year from now. That would be my recommendation. Be to purchase the 2 Lucas devices and accessories that they quoted us and pay the total balance a year from the date the was received. That would the interoperability of mutual aid partners, and like I said earlier, possibly get us on the maintenance contract.
Why are we having to delay for a year before we make that payment?
So that's one of 2 options that Stryker is offering right now, is to pay the total balance a year from now, or pay half of it now, half of the year.
We're going off the interest, you need to see that. And we might,
Or
if I'm saying versus writing a check now. If you wait and write that 18,000.
Already.
Similar $20.
there's some significant advantages.
If we're sitting on $10 million, you're still smarter than getting the $720 in interest.
Right.
Versus, paying it now.
Right. So I mean, I think budgetary wise, the best decision would be to wait.
Okay.
Yeah, make the purchase, sign the paperwork, but make the payment in a year.
Gotcha.
0%.
And like I said earlier as well, Striker is listed through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative, which is approved by the state of Alabama, and we are a purchasing cooperative, so that takes care of, there's no need to bid that equipment in everything.
Make a motion that we approve the purchase of the Lucas devices and defer the payment until next year.
I second that motion.
Karen Ball,
Yes.
Greg Bauer.
Yes.
Yes.
The last item is the need for Station 6 repairs. So like I said earlier, the fire truck hit the side of the main some damage to that station. Had like both trucks, from that station, so the station's essentially inoperable for us right now. What I'm seeking from the board is authorization to obtain a minimum of 3 quotes to perform the work. And go with the quote that has the best scope of work and the best. While we would make every effort to ensure the scope of work is consistent across the 3, as we saw with the Station 5 concrete work, getting them to read identical is very, very difficult. But don't want to delay the work on that station another month or 2. Having to come back and get some more approval. I do not believe that those repairs would cost us $15,000, 15 to 20, but I do think they'll cost us 5, which is what I'm all. So that's the action.
Make a motion that we approve your recommendation to get 3 bids and go with the best bid based on scope of work and price.
And I'll keep y'all informed of what that is looking like, Sorry. Unfortunately, with the timing, I don't know, so I would be worried that if we cap it and there's something unforeseen.
Yeah.
Now, if it's anything crazy, I'm gonna stop right there and I'll come back, I'm not. If they come back and all 3 of them say, no, it's $60,000, I'm out. I gotta have some more conversations, so. But I didn't want repairs to be 10 grand to be hindered having to come back, so.
I second the motion.
Karen Ball,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Greg Harrison.
Yes.
Yeah, now that gets us through the grant and the payment.
Just see the green, yes, sir.
Right, okay. We need to go any further with the ambulance transfers, or we need to have that.
I'll just address it when we get to it, just to stay in the.
That's what
We said that in the RC&D and safer.
right.
The RC&D is just a Mid-South RC&D grant. Cap is $15,000. What I have so far on the application total just under 17. I was just requesting approval from the board to submit that grant application to RC&D, and if awarded, pay the difference between the grant amount and the cost of the equipment.
Make a motion, we submit for the RC&D grant.
Second.
Bauer, Karen Ball,
Yes.
Greg Bauer.
Yes.
And Greg Harrison.
Safer grant is a recruitment and retention grant. What we're going after, so the goal there would be to hire a recruitment and retention coordinator. A kind of Monday through Friday schedule. That grant is different than the staffing grant. The staffing grant, while it adds a full-time position, there's a percentage match that the district has to incur. And after, I believe it's beginning with the 4th year. So the grant's good for 3 years, funds for 3 years. Year 4, we would be 100% responsible for that individual. Given where we are with funding right now and looking long-term, the sustainability of that. So I would hate to engage, go after that grant or be in a pickle. Made a better option, and especially with our reliance on volunteers, still would be that recruitment and retention to recruit and retain volunteer members in the organization. But there is no match on the Safer grant. And just to be upfront with y'all, while I'm gonna do everything that I can to get that grant submitted by the July 3rd deadline, I am not certain that will happen. But I would rather have the authorization and get it submitted than have everything done and be waiting on the July 1st.
Are there people that can help write that grant?
There are, the problem is the time. We don't have a lot of the things together, like a good narrative and whatnot. Lee County EMA has let's say, somebody that writes their grants internal, who's helping us with the RC&D, and I will engage with them, see if they could help that Safer grant thing. The only other option would be engaging a grant writer. What I've been hearing with FEMA grants, federal grants, is grant writers aren't what they were 10, 15 years ago. I've heard a lot of people that utilize grant writers are not getting grants because of the cookie cutter aspect, the cookie cutter aspect of the grant application.
So it's a month away, right? You don't feel like you've got what you need, the time wise, to make it happen.
Not with everything that's going on. So with first due and all that other stuff.
So is it in our best interest not to pursue it, knowing that at this time?
Well, part of my battle has been getting access to the system, the sam.gov website, and the application portals. That has been fun, because of all the federal government. Yeah,
You're just seeking approval to pursue it if you have time.
that is all I'm looking for. You know, like I said,
Yep.
there's no cost there. If I can get it done and submitted, there's no cost to us if we're awarded the grant, which is why I'm comfortable just seeking the approval to submit.
Make a motion that we allow Chief to pursue the DHS Safer grant as time permits.
Second that motion.
Yes.
Director Flowers.
Yes.
Director.
Yes.
The next thing up is the ambulance transfer. We talked briefly about it.
You want me to make a motion?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we do not get in the business of non-emergency transport.
Second.
Cameron Rock. Director Flowers.
Yes.
Director Hickman.
Yes.
The only thing left in new business is the pending Ridge multifamily rates we discussed earlier. Using the Tier 6 and going by the calculations.
Make a motion that we approve the Tier 6 rate calculation for the Trinity Ridge multifamily rates.
Second that motion.
Cameron Rock.
Yes.
Director Flowers.
Yes.
Director Harris.
Yes.
Did anyone sign up for public comment? All right, so I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn.
Yes, sir.